On the one hand, some of the scholars emphasize the idea that since the Ukraine war, the Russian war against Ukraine, Europe was not anymore a leader. That was it. By contrast, some of the IR scholars and lawyers in particular emphasize the number of policy instruments and norms and standards that are imposed by the EU in some of the treaty. I want to emphasize that the internal fragilities of the EU should be emphasized as well. Number one, within the EU, we see some element of backlash. We see that the EU, the Commission, is under the pressure of Parliament and different countries to postpone some of the agreement on electric cars force, to delay some point on deforestation, to come back on the priority given to sustainable agriculture. And within each country, even those who are much more in favor are also under the pressure of the authoritarian right parties who are really undermining the commitment. The second point I think we should be adding to the discussion is the fact that those treaties and the role of those countries is one part of the story. What we see at the same time is, number one, the fact that the large firms play an increasing role in this domain, and probably we should emphasize much more the role of these large firms playing a role both in the EU and in Latin America. And second, the growing role of cities and networks of local government. Of course, the cities and local government will not save the planet. A number of key issues connected to decarbonation or biodiversity are not to be solved by the city. However, the multiplication of initiatives is central, at least to play a role in terms of climate adaptation. And from that point of view, the increasing relations between EU and Latin American cities and EU and Latin America's NGOs on both sides, think about bike lanes or BTR transport bus initiatives going from South America to Europe, is one of the most promising avenues that has to be cultivated. So I quite agree that the EU is not leading anymore. The direction is not very clear, and the political mobilization is, to say the least, hesitating.